Nowadays, representation in the media doesn't have to be forced. It is an expected element as we grow more accepting of the queer community and people of color as a society. Although representation is a lot more common now, it doesn't always mean it's done in the best ways. In 2002, the third installment of Guilty Gear was released, Guilty Gear 2X. It is a 2D fighting game with a wide array of characters. Among the roster of 23 characters, one stuck out. His name was Bridget, a cross-dressing nun with a yo-yo, a teddy bear, and also very poor balance. Although the character was a fan favorite when released, they were not seen in the series past that for about 20 years, until...
Don't mention it. Happy trails, cowgirl, or, cowboy.
Cowgirl is fine, because I'm a girl.
Now if Bridget's first release as a femboy already divided the community, her second coming out as a trans woman had the community in an uproar, with most of the community fine with it, or even feeling well represented. A small but unfortunately vocal community was outraged. Mostly it was just weirdo incels making tweets or 10-minute YouTube videos saying that Bridget being trans is femboy erasure, or she's not actually trans because things are different in Japan. But one went so far to create a fake email from the devs, stating that Bridget is not actually trans, and it was just a translation error. This actually did fool some people up until the actual creators of the game put out this tweet. Our customer support has become aware that someone has impersonated them and fabricated images made to look like official responses. ASW will not individually answer questions relating to the content that is not published in-game or on our website. Even after this tweet, people were still outraged, saying her being trans is ruining the character, even though the point of the character is to show her journey of discovering herself. To this day, there is still a small section of the community who is mad about Bridget being trans, but that is just how certain groups will react to minorities in the media.
To protect the world from boring fashion.
To dress all people with flash and passion.
To give all Pokemon pretty faces.
To extend our art to outer spaces.
Jesse.
James.
Salon Roquet. When it comes to chic, we know what's right.
Surrender your taste to prepare to fight.
Ever since I was a kid, watching a pirated version of Indigo League on my PlayStation 3, I've always loved Team Rocket. Honestly, even more than the main group. They were such fun and eccentric characters who had new looks in almost every episode. Looking back now and wondering why they were my favorite, it honestly seems kinda obvious. Team Rocket are the main villains of the original Pokemon anime. Although they may be villains, they are more clumsy and cartoonish. Because of this, they don't pose much of a threat other than maybe a time waster. Team Rocket also follows the common stereotype of queer-coded villains from the 90s and 2000s. Although unlike most queer-coded villains, Team Rocket's queerness seems less used as intimidation and more used to make them seem more crazy and sporadic. The Hays Code was a set of guidelines that was implemented up until 1968. At least that's when this was most enforced and followed directly. The Hays Code had many rules, such as no picture shall be produced, which will lower the moral standards of those who see it. Hence, the sympathy of the audience should never be thrown to the side of crime, wrongdoing, evil, and sin, which included biracial relationships, negative representation of clergy, and openly queer characters as the protagonists. This meant that queer representation in the media was limited to villains. These creators of the villains were frequently queer themselves and would find solace in representing themselves within their characters. The new season of Squid Games has an amazing representation of a trans character. Her main motive for joining the games was to have funds to transition and find a new life. Their choice to transition created tears in their family and friendships. Although these are all aspects of her character, they are not what defines her. This is almost a perfect representation of a trans character. She is still a normal character and gets treated as such, which is very refreshing, as most queer representation in media just relies on characters' gender expression or sexual orientation as the whole personality of the character. One issue people seem to have about this character is the fact that it was played by a straight cis man, and how trans actors should get roles to play trans characters. While I agree with that statement, Squid Game is a Korean show, and Korea's culture about trans people is a lot less accepting. There are only a few openly gay actors in Korea, and no openly trans actors. The actors who played the trans character did, however, move to Thailand for a bit, and learn deeply about trans culture so he could properly portray her.
It all started with Talon stealing artifacts. But wait, who's that? Those boots, the drill, that perfect smile. It's Venture!
Venture released in Season 10 of Overwatch 2. They're a spiritual descendant to DPS Doomfist, which was lost in the swap to Overwatch 2. What was even more exciting is they are Overwatch 2's first and only trans character. I remember how excited I was when the trailer dropped. I would not stop talking about how excited I was to friends, family, and teachers. What got me excited was how well the representation of a non-binary person was portrayed. For example, Venture was designed purposely without sex appeal, which is rare in recent years because Blizzard really does need money. The design includes both mask and femme artistic markers, curved and straight lines, as well as having a gender-ambiguous clothing style, colors, etc. And my personal fave, they actually have a unique personality that shines through in everything they do and say, which could have only been achieved by hiring a non-binary voice actor. At the end of the day, the reason I'm talking about this is because representation in media is important. It's nice to feel seen and feel like you have a seat at the table.